Data transfer complete.
Wow, what an intro. Warm welcome to Nexer and Stibo Systems session. We will be talking about data transparency. One piece of the puzzle to make people make better choices. And we have invited Albin Junhede from Oatly, and he will be sharing Oatly's journey towards a more sustainable business through data transparency. So warm welcome, Albin.
Thank you. Thank you.
And my name is Caroline Thorén. I work as COO at Nexer Maverick, and I work on a daily basis with e-commerce and retailers, and I have an extensive experience from H&M and Nelly. And that's about me. But Albin, I'm really curious about who are you?
Cool, yeah. Who am I standing next to you here? Cool. As you said, my name is Albin. I work with executing sustainability reporting process at Oatly, as well as developing our digital foundation when it comes to sustainability reporting. But before that, I've been doing that for the last few months. But back in the days, I'm a finance professional. I used to work as a consultant at EY, Ernst & Young, before I joined Oatly about 4.5 years ago. And then I started off in the finance department. I also did a couple of years with our supply chain department, worked with the R&D, helped them with some digital projects. And during the last year, I've been part of the IT leadership. And a few months back, I got the opportunity to join the sustainability team and help them really drive a data-driven sustainability culture across the company. And a core thing, good to know sort of about my years at Oatly, is that the master data management piece has been the focal point through all my roles. I was the first one to get the task sort of, hey, we need to develop the master data management. Please do that, Albin. Yeah, so I did. Yeah, and the reason I came all the way up here today is that I'm really passionate about sustainability, tech and data. But just so you know, I'm not a tech guy. If you talking SaaS or servers or things like that to me, I will be blank. But I love to see how the tech can enable the business to be more sustainable.
And that's a passion I share. I also love the sustainability area. There's a lot of things to do there. But now back to Oatly. What does Oatly want to achieve in the sustainability area through data transparency?
Very good question. So just so you know that I hope most of you know Oatly, but you might not. So to start with, Oatly as a company, we are a company that's 25 years old. Even though a lot of people think we are very young. But we actually was born out of a science project at Lund University, where we're all about finding the next food product that is both nutritional, healthy, and sustainable. And that's also what our business is all about today. And today we exist in more than 20 countries. And when it comes to sustainability, the aspect, we are a sustainability company. That's the core of Oatly. But what we actually aim to do is that we want to drive this plant-based revolution that the climate needs. And we really want to head that straight on and drive this food system shift that is needed if we're going to see it with the climate goals. So what has that to do with data transparency, sort of? Well, we believe that a key, if we're going to be able to drive this sustainability agenda, is really to be clear on the sustainability transparency connected to that to our products. We want to show people how sustainable are our products and also how are we doing in achieving our ambitions.
Mm-hmm. And on this journey, what challenges have you been coming across?
Well, a lot of challenges, I must say, but a key one that's been part of my years at Oatly is really connected to our products. As I said, we want to tell you how sustainable our products are, right? But when you start looking at our products and start putting these numbers together, you start collecting data from that department, and that department over there. that's quite a challenge and requires quite a lot of resources and time to be able to execute it properly. So that, I would say, one of the biggest challenges that we have had over the years.
I guess a lot of people can recognize that. So currently there are a lot of global regulations and standards put in place, and I think that's necessary in order to make the climate change happen for real. But there are companies taking on the leadership and coming across the regulations ahead, right? So you are driving this change from Oatly, right? Can you tell us about what you have done?
Yes, very good questions. Like the regulatory frameworks today, sort of, they give us the minimal level what we need to do in the sustainability agenda, right? So yeah, we do execute and report on those frameworks as well. But we believe that that's not enough to drive the sustainability change in the world. We also, since quite a few years back, we have started to publish the information about our products on our website. We not only tell you about our products and how good they taste, we also tell you about which are the ingredients, who are the suppliers that send us the ingredients, and from which country in the world does the ingredient originate from. Do they come from Africa, South America, Sweden, Finland, sort of? You can find that on the website. And a couple of years back, we also started to print the climate footprint of some of our products. So when you're actually holding your barista Oatly coffee drink in the store, so you can look at it and see, well, this has caused 0.3 kilograms of CO2 on its journey to my hand.
That's really good. And according to Customer Goods Forum for Terra, 95% of the consumers say that brands that provide detailed product information earn their trust. I guess a lot of you listened to Rachel this morning, and she was also talking a lot about trust. And we think that one piece of the puzzle is to make sure that you have a data that you can trust. And driving the data transparency, as you do, with that base, with true data, that requires a lot, right?
It does.
How do you manage?
It's quite a big job. And yeah, just to emphasize what you said, sort of like data transparency for us, it's just a tool to reach our overall goal of changing to a more sustainable world, right? Just data transparency in its own is not the key driver for us. And looking at what we have done here, sort of, as I said in the beginning, this is a massive job if you're going to pull data from over there, and over there. And when we were a smaller company, we had quite a simple supply chain. We had one factory. So this is quite easy. But then today, as I told you, we are in more than 20 countries. Our supply chain is a lot more complex, which means that we already back in 2018 started investing in our master data management practices to make sure that we can keep being this trustworthy and sustainable company.
It sounds really easy when you're talking about it, Albin. Really. So, and I love one campaign that you did just a while ago. Show us your numbers. You really pushed the industry in this campaign. Can you just tell us about that campaign and the effects that you have seen?
Yes. That campaign was all about being connected to the product climate footprint, sort of. How can we make it easier to consumers to make a sustainable life? And as I said, sort of, we don't believe the regulations are enough. We need to push the agenda. And that's what we did with that campaign. We wanted to get us and our peers on the same market and start competing on the same level. So invited people to sort of like, we are showing our numbers, can you also show yours? Because then the consumers in the end, you guys out there, you can actually go into the store and look on what is the more sustainable choice here, right?
The consumer demands is a very interesting topic. I mean, your products, they are based in science, they are sustainable in the first place, but there are a lot of products and services out there that needs to make that journey and transform into a more sustainable product or service. So what are your advice to those companies, Albin?
Yeah, not everyone can have a sustainable product from start. That's right? So looking at sort of how do you build a sustainable business? How do you build sustainable products and services? Then it's all back to sort of what you're actually delivering. Do you actually know how your current product or service actually perform today, sort of? I would say that's the key start. It's understanding your current footprint, understanding your current situation, because otherwise you don't really know where you should put your resources, right? How do we make this product more sustainable? Well, start with looking what we got and what's the key driver here.
So can you tell us how your foundation in master data management helped you in your journey towards your ambitions at Oatly?
Yeah, that I could talk for 2 hours about that, but I will give you the short and sweet summary of that. So when I started, people came to me and said, Albin, we have problem with our product data. You must fix that. Okay, yeah, okay, product data, the products we sell to consumers, right? Yeah. But then I did a couple of workshops, started talking with people, did an analysis sort of, okay, where is the root cause to this? So we looked across the products, the supplier data, customers, even the people data, so really show, are we focusing in the right place? And what we can conclude from that analysis was that, okay, our core issue here that we need to address is really our wider products, like looking at the product all the way from the ingredients up to the sales item that we send to the store. What does that consist of? And how does that relate to our suppliers, our manufacturing sites? So when we knew that this is our core challenge that we need to solve, then we started to dig into sort of, okay, how does the business processes looks like? Okay, now we know the business process, how that should be working. How does the information model connected to that support this? Okay, we got that part, but then we need the right tool as well. And we knew from the beginning that we needed a broad tool to help us succeed with this. And that's where we found the Stibo Step platform, where we could build up all these business processes, the right information model, and bring and make the magic happen.
That sounds like a lot of work, but it sounds quite easy as well when you're talking about it, Albin. But I'm really curious about when you got that in place, how did you use the platform in order to communicate to stakeholders and send out the messages to the consumers?
Very good question. Cool. So as you might have heard, I was part of implementing this solution at Oatly. So I've been deep down into it. The exciting thing now is that now I'm more on the business side. I'm in the sustainability department, and I need to use all that data that we collect in the system. So what I'm finding now is that by having all those data collated and related to in the STEP platform, we have the key source for our basic data when it comes to looking on our products and doing sort of life cycle analysis of them to understand the climate footprint. So that's one way we can pull the core data to do an analysis, understand our products better, and then be able to present it to the consumers. And we also have one main source to look for product data. So for example, when we want to update our website, we know where to go and find that data. We don't need to start calling or emailing our colleagues.
I mean, sustainability is a big driver for you. And the master data management platform, is it really necessary? I mean, there are a lot of companies out there reporting sustainability and so on, and the business is going on. Why is it needed?
Yes, very good question. So like looking at the status quo, like we have done business for many years. We can still do that, right? A key thing here that I would like to shine a light on is that the climate is changing rapidly, as well as the market and the consumers. If you have read the latest IPCC report, we know that they recently stated that we need to halve the greenhouse gas emissions by 2030 and reach a net zero by 2050 unless we're going to face a climate runaway. So that's a key driver here, sort of, that the market is really changing, and a third of the greenhouse gas emissions comes actually from the food system. So we really need to drive a food system shift. And to be able to drive the shift, we need to have the data to understand where we should focus our resources. And adding to the another part, sort of like we all want to win in the market, right? And the market and our consumers are changing as well. Each generation is becoming more and more aware of the climate issues in the world, and they're making more and more informed choices. Look on Greta Thunberg, for example. She is this young future consumer that she doesn't fly by plane. She took the boat to the US when she went traveling. And that's the reality. The context, the market is changing. Yeah, that's just those 2 points together really point out why you need to drive this.
I'm glad you're pointing out the bigger picture here. I mean, but still, consistent and true data is the base for your message. But how should companies achieve this? It sounds very easy when you talk about it, but what's your advice to them?
That's a very good question. So, like master data management is a foundational piece for data in my view, at least. But it is not all. The whole, as we know, that we all live in a big ecosystem in the world with climate and such. The same goes for data and the digital ecosystems that we need to build to run our business today. And we all want to win in the market, right? Beating our competitors and such. So imagine you are out there playing the World Cup in soccer. And you really want to win. But how do you win the World Cup in soccer? Is it by buying Zlatan Ibrahimovic and have the top forwarder in the world? Well, not really. It's about building the right team, right? So if we want to win on the market in the future with consumers that are very driven on sustainability and data and making informed choices, we need to make sure that we have the right digital ecosystem in place to manage that data. So to present the data with the help of data analytics and data scientists and such, in one part, that's our forward, driving the market forward, right? But you won't win the game until you have the right defense and goalie in place. And the Master Data Management Foundation, in my view, is really the defense and the goalie, making sure that the data scientist has something to rely their analysis on and really trusting that the data they pull together is correct.
Thanks, Albin. I'm a soccer coach. Now I get it. Thanks. So, Albin, what are you currently working on at Oatly?
So at the moment, we are working on, towards the end of the year now, we are preparing for the next annual sustainability report for us. So I'm making sure that we know that all the data, key data is in place, where we are reviewing a lot of making sure, checking that the Stibo step system is up to date, getting it in place so that we also can connect that data with the data from our ERP system and start analyzing how the year actually went for us.
Great. Final question then, Albin. How would you advise people and companies to take on their journey into a more data transparency-driven company?
Well, in my view, it's quite easy. Please tag along with us. Please show us your numbers, and we will keep showing ours.
Great. Thanks a lot, Albin and Oatly, for sharing your story.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you.
And thank you for listening. And please visit us in our booth, Nexer and Stibo, and we will be sharing some Oatly drinks, I think, yes. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Thanks.